Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom has a brand new release. It's absolutely adorable and it's all about pets. Here's a quick peek at the new release. Lots of great products, new stamps, dies, and stencils. And if you are interested in any of the products, I have links in the description box below. You can always save by purchasing the full release bundle. So I'll start with the Fishbone Stencil. This is currently not available for individual purchase. It's a freebie you'll receive if you purchase at least $50 worth of product, and one item must be from the new release. This is for a limited time or while supplies last. There's a second stencil set in the release. This one's called Paw Print Stencil. There are 2 layers. And what's really fun about this stencil set, you can use each of the layers individually. So one has the hearts and the other has the paw prints, but if you put them together, you get the paw print and the hearts. It's a super cute design. Now moving on to a new Gnome Die add-on set. This one's called Pet. And this set features a fun variety of different pets. It doesn't have the traditional dog and cat. If you remember, those were released on their Bicycle and Friends die set. I'll pull the dies out of the packaging so you can see everything that's included. If you weren't aware, Jaded Blossom has a new die manufacturer. So all of the new releases, the dies are pre-snipped. This set includes the bird and a bird cage, fish in the fish bowl, a turtle, a lizard, a snake, and a hamster. There's also a bone, a food bowl, and a fish bone for the gnome or a gnome friend to hold. Now we'll say hello to a new gnome friend, and there are 2 new gnome friends in this release. The first one is the Dog Dies. There's also a dog face stamp set. Look at all those adorable expressions. So you have the option of creating the face with the dies, or you can use the stamp set. The die set includes 1 base body piece. You can see the head doesn't have any ears. That's because there are 3 different head options with different ears. There's also the 1 head piece that doesn't have the faux stitching with the nose and the muzzle. And this is the piece you'll use if you want to stamp the dog face. Now there's a variety of different dog faces. Some just have the eyes, others have the nose. There's also individual noses. So lots of different options to help you create an adorable dog image. And Jaded Blossom did not forget about all the cat lovers out there. Say hello to Gnome Friends Cat Dies. And there is also a coordinating cat faces stamp set. I love the faces with this cat. All of the expressions are just adorable. On the cat set, there's just 1 body design, but you do have the option of adding stripes or spots, or you could have your cat without any of those. And here's the 1 face piece that doesn't have the whiskers, nose, and this is the piece you'll use if you want one of the stamped face images. The die set also includes a ball of yarn image. There are front legs for the cat, or you can use the individual paws so you can have your cat hold a ball of yarn. Both of the new gnome friends, the dog and the cat images, are super cute. Next up is a sentiment set. This is called Life is Tweet. Fun variety of sentiments for your pet cards. And there are coordinating outline dies. I love having the outline dies to go around every single sentiment. And Jaded Blossom also has a wide variety of already released sentiment sets that work with cats, dogs, turtles. they have a huge variety of animal sentiment sets. So be sure to check those out. I'll add a link in the description box. The release includes one more sentiment set. It's called Forever in Our Hearts, and there are coordinating outline dies. These are the cards we never want to make, but unfortunately, we do need to sometimes. So I love that Jaded Blossom included some very heartfelt sentiments to give to your friend or family member that lost a pet. I do want to mention that the outline dies for this set will need to be snipped. This was something they had made many months ago. Jaded Blossom also released dog and cat MDF pieces. There's the two different options, the hang tag ring or the option with the stand. The hang tag ring is great for making ornaments or hanging decor. I love the MDF pieces with the stand. I have several adorable critters in my craft room. Be sure to check out all of the fun MDF designs that Jaded Blossom offers. In today's video, I'll be sharing 7 different card designs using the new release and 2 MDF pieces. I'm only recording the process of 4 of the cards, but I will show everything that I made. The pattern paper I'm using for card design number 1 is a 12 by 12 sheet from Doodlebug Design. I believe it's their Puppy Love collection. It's an older release. I also selected 2 Doodlebug Design petite prints, a teal and a green, and I cut them out using Jaded Blossom's card layer dies. I have set 1 and 2. And the petite prints work great for that tone-on-tone design to mix in with some of the busier pattern papers. If you're not familiar with Jaded Blossom's card layer dies, it's one die that's just under 6 by 6 inches. So you can use it with a 6 by 6 sheet of paper or cardstock. Run it through your die cut machine one time and it cuts out lots of different pieces to create a fun variety of card designs. I've shared several videos using their card layer dies, and I'll link them at the end of this video if you're watching on YouTube. For the background of my card, selected the blue tone-on-tone paw print pattern paper. This piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I'll layer it on some dark blue cardstock. That piece is an additional 1/8 of an inch. In the lower right-hand corner, I added the large triangle in green, has a tone-on-tone polka dot design. Down the center of the card, I added a 2-inch strip of this adorable dog pattern paper. In the upper left-hand corner, I added one of the banners, this grid design in teal. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Next, I'll add a white arch die cut, and I cut this out using Jaded Blossom's stitched arch dies. So now I'll set aside the card and start assembling one of the dogs. I've already stamped and die cut out all of the pieces, and I have them stored in the medium tray craft stack from Spellbinders. This will be a brown dog with darker brown ears, tail, and the stripe down the front of the face. For the very background piece, this will be completely covered up, so you could use any color cardstock. I'm using the same brown color. Most of the cardstock I'm using for my critters was scrap cardstock pieces. I'm starting with the dog's body, and I'll do the head separately. So I have that background piece. I'll add the tail and also the individual lower body piece. Then I'll add the tummy piece for the dog. Next, I'll attach the collar and then the collar tag. Now I'll assemble the legs, and there are individual paws you could add for the feet, or you can use just the legs since it does have the feet attached. I think both options are really cute. Then I'll put the two front legs in front of the dog. So there's the lower portion of the dog all assembled. Now I'll work on the dog's head. For this dog, I'll be using the die cut pieces for the eyes and the nose. So I'll start by attaching the head that has the ears. Put glue on the back, adhere it in place. And then there's the individual head piece. I'll attach that next. And now I'll add the ears. And this is where I use a darker brown color. And you want to make sure that all the individual pieces line up perfectly with the background. So I'm always lifting it, adjusting it slightly before the glue dries completely. Next, I'll add that darker brown stripe down the front of the dog's face. And this one's really easy to line up with those little fur pieces at the top of its head. For the dog's muzzle, I use that lighter brown color. And then the dog's nose I cut out from black cardstock. For some of the smaller die cut pieces, I'm using the wax tip end of Scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool to pick those up. For the eyes, there are 3 different pieces you can use. For this dog, I'm only using 2 pieces. So I have the white portion of the eye and the pupil. If you use that 3rd layer, you could also include the color, the iris of the eye. I'll add the white piece down first, then put the black pupil down next. So there's the adorable dog all assembled. I have just one final touch for the dog. I'll add a teeny tiny white dot inside the eye. I have a brand new white pen, so I grabbed a scrap piece of paper to get the pen started. Looks like the label for the pattern paper. And very carefully, I'll add that teeny tiny white dot. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Thank you very much. And this sentiment is included on the new Life is Tweet stamp set. I'll glue it at the bottom of the arch. Now I'll flip over the dog, pop it up with foam dimension. I'm using the small and large foam squares from Scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. And I will need to cut some of the small squares in half to fit behind the dog's tail and also back feet. Once I have good coverage, don't want any areas to sag, I'll remove the release paper from the foam and add the dog image right above the sentiment. Jaded Blossom did an amazing job designing the new cat and dog gnome friends. Look at how cute this pup is. For embellishments, I'm adding 3 small hearts. I cut these out from some blue satin mirror cardstock. And the die set I use is Jaded Blossom's Embellishment Clusters die set. This is still one of my favorite die sets from Jaded Blossom. I love being able to customize my own embellishments. I'll add all 3 hearts in the upper left-hand corner on the teal banner. So there is my finished card. I love how this turned out. And I did end up making 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 2. I'm using the same Doodlebug design pattern paper, and I have more of the card layer die cuts using the petite prints. For the background of my card, this time I'm featuring the dog pattern paper, and that piece is 4 inches by 5¼ inches. At the very top, I'm adding this teal grid pattern paper piece, and I'm putting it at the very top edge. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizzie peel off at the bottom of the card layer die cut piece. This is the teal holographic color in pinstripe style, and I use the widest width. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some dark blue cardstock, put more adhesive on the back, and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. And I'm not sure what went on with my ATG. There was a clump of it at the end, so I did need to remove that section. On the left side, I'm adding the green polka dot banner. Put adhesive on the back, adhere it about 1/2 inch in from the right side. Next, I'll add a stitch circle die cut, and I use the same dark blue color that I use for the background. I'll put barely art glue on the back, adhere it at the top of the green banner. Here's the dog image I'll be adding. I've already assembled it, and this time I use one of the stamped faces. Just the eyes and the eyebrows. Then I used the die cut nose, muzzle, and added a pink tongue. I did pop it up using foam dimension. I'll remove the release paper, add the dog in the center of the blue circle. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Hold on to the love, not the loss. And this sentiment is from the Furever in Our Heart stamp set. I'll adhere it in the upper left-hand corner. Then for a final finishing touch, adding 3 small hearts. I cut these out from some blue iridescent cardstock, and I use the Embellishment Clusters die set. But this time I'm only using the medium size heart. I'll put 2 in the upper right-hand corner and 1 on the left side of the dog. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. For the first card I made off screen, I did stamp the eyes and eyebrows just a little bit too high. So make sure to line up that muzzle before stamping. Now moving on to card design number 3, it's time to make a cat image. For the background of my card, use 2 different pattern papers. The yellow stripe is from Lawn Fawn's Rainbow Ever After, and the wood grain is Echo Park's Warms Wood Grain Collection. I've already stamped the sentiment, wishing Mew a happy birthday. And this sentiment is from Jaded Blossom's Meow and Forever stamp set. I'm creating an indoor scene. So I have the wood floor, the yellow striped wallpaper, and I use a Love from Lizzie white peel off for the wood trim. I'll set aside the card for now and start assembling the cat. And the cat will be sitting on a chair. I use Jaded Blossom's chair die set. For the main background piece of the chair, I use white shimmer cardstock. This will mostly be covered up. The only area you'll see are those small circles. So basically the buttons on the back of the chair. I use more Doodlebug Design petite prints for most of the pieces of the chair. Selected the gingham design and also a polka dot for the side of the cushion. I'm using a darker blue cardstock for the sides of the chair's arms. For the feet of the chair, I'm using more wood grain pattern paper from Echo Park. This is a very easy image to assemble, and you can have your gnome, any of the gnome friends, sit in the chair. Jaded Blossom always makes it so easy for assembling the die cuts, since they provide that background piece that you can use basically as a template. For the feet of the chair, the pieces look very similar, but they are different. So I like to hold them up and make sure I'm adhering them on the correct side. So there is the chair all assembled. The cat will be very cozy on this blue chair. I'm making an orange tabby cat. So I use orange cardstock for the background piece, the tail, the head, the body, the legs. And I use a slightly darker orange color for the stripes. So I'll be adding stripes on the top of the head and also the tail. I use one of the stamp faces with the closed eyes, super happy face, and I did color in the red tongue using a Copic marker. I attach the individual tail onto the background piece. I'm assembling the head next, the very background piece, the stamped face piece. Then I'll attach the ears. Use a light pink cardstock for the inside of the ears. And now I'll add the 3 stripes at the top of the head. The largest stripe goes in the center, and that top area lines up with the fur on the top of the head. And then the 2 smaller pieces just follow the angle. So one goes on the right and the other on the left. So there's the head all assembled. Now I'll add the individual stripes on the tail. There are 5 different pieces. Some have more of a curve, so you know those will go on the tail. Others are a bit straighter. I don't think it really matters how many you put or where you place them. I was just making sure the curves matched up and also those faux stitched lines. And the very left side of the cat's cheek will cover up part of the tail. So some of the stripe areas won't be visible, but I'm still adding them, trying to get them fairly evenly spaced. Next, I'll add the bottom portion of the cat's body. Now I'll add the white chest fluff area. I would suggest adding the legs before this little fluff area, and you'll see why here in a moment. I use some teal cardstock for the collar and gold mirror cardstock for the bell. I think the teal color looks so nicely on the orange tabby cat. The bell image is super tiny, so after adding a small drop of Barely Art glue, I'll pick it up with the Pro Pick tool. And now I'll attach the front legs, and I'm tucking the very inside of the top portion of the legs underneath that little fluff. You could just put it in front. I just thought it looked a little better, slightly tucked behind that white fluff area. And since the glue has mostly dried, it was a little harder to tuck it underneath. I used the sharp end of my tweezers, very carefully ran it underneath that white die cut piece, just enough so I could tuck in the top area of those front legs. Once the body of the cat is all assembled, I'll put glue on the back of the head and adhere it in place. So there is the cat image all assembled. I think it's super cute. I will be adding 2 balls of yarn. I've already assembled the yellow one, but I'll do the teal one with you. I use some teal pearlescent cardstock. There's the main piece and 4 individual pieces. So the very end string piece, 1 long piece that goes all the way across, and 2 small pieces. Gives the ball of yarn a little more of a dimensional look. All of the images are assembled, so now I'll add them on the front of the card, starting with the chair. I did put foam dimension on the back, use some 1mm foam. I'll add the chair at the bottom so it looks like it's sitting on the wooden floor. The cat already has some dimension with all the layers of cardstock, so I'm not popping it up using foam. I'll put glue on the back, adhere the cat onto the chair so it looks like it's sitting on that top cushion. I will place a large acrylic block on top while the glue dries. Next, I'll add the 2 balls of yarn in front of the chair. Behind the yarn images, I will put some foam dimension. I'm using 2mm foam, adhering it just in the area where the balls of yarn don't touch the chair. I'll add the yellow ball of yarn down first, putting it on the right side. The teal will go on the left side of the yellow, overlapping slightly. In the area where I don't have foam, I'll put some Barely Art glue. So there is my finished card, and again, I did make 2 using this design. This is a very happy kitty, all cozy on the comfy blue chair. For card design number 4, The pattern paper I'm using is from Reminisce. It's their Grown with Love collection. I used this several years ago with Jaded Blossom's garden release, so I don't think it's available any longer. I still have some leftover pieces, so I decided to pull it out for this card design. For the background of my card, using this fun plant paper. Across the card, I added a 2-inch strip of this tone-on-tone fern design. Most of it will be covered up by the image panel. I'll layer the background pattern paper piece on a Scallop Rectangle die cut, and this is a die set from Jaded Blossom. We'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. You can see just a peek of the white card base showing around that scallop edge. I use Jaded Blossom's Octagon die set for the image panel. Cut it out from white cardstock and also some craft cardstock. And for the craft cardstock piece, I cut the top area using Jaded Blossom's border die set number 2, creating this small hillside. Using Distress Oxide Vintage Photo ink, I added a little darker brown color at the top area of this little dirt panel. Now I'll adhere it at the bottom of the Octagon die cut. I'll put Barely Art glue on the back, adhere this piece on the front of the card, putting it a little closer to the bottom of the card. This card will feature one of the girl gnomes, and I've already assembled her. I added this fun vine design to her hat, and the vine dies are included on Jaded Blossom's Gnomes Garden add-on set. The gnome will be holding a snake. I use a brighter green cardstock color. There are 2 pieces for the snake. You could just use the top piece that has the little eye cutout area. The back piece has the hand hold areas, so I'm using both, glued them together. And to help that eye stand out, I used a black marker on the back piece, simply colored in some of the area where I know the cutout for the eye will be. Then I glued them together. Before attaching her hands, I'll put a small scrap piece of cardstock on that back area where the hand hold piece is. That way when I add her hands in place, it'll be at the same level. It's always nice that Jaded Blossom includes that background die so you know exactly where to place the gnomes or the gnome friend's hands. Now I'll flip over the snake and I'll pop it up using foam dimension. I was trying to decide exactly where I want to add the foam. Since her feet are popped up with foam dimension, I really only want to add the foam behind the main center area of the snake's body. So I'm not adding any behind the tail since that area will sit directly on one of her feet. But for the snake's head, it will go off of her other foot, so I am leaving some foam behind the snake's head. I did put foam dimension behind the gnome. I'll remove the release paper, add her on the center of the Octagon panel. So technically she's sitting in dirt holding a snake. I think she's on a fun jungle adventure, found a snake in her exploring, and that's why she's all tangled up in vines, and she couldn't resist holding this exotic snake. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Have a super birthday. This sentiment is included on the new Life is Tweet stamp set. I did pop up this sentiment using more foam dimension. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some twinkle star die cuts. I cut these out from some teal iridescent cardstock, and this is cardstock from my stash. The twinkle star die images are included on the Embellishment Clusters die set. I'll put 3 around the sentiment and 2 on the right side of the gnome. For a little extra detail, I'll use a white gel pen, add highlights on the gnome's hat, her nose, and her feet. Although I could only add it on one foot, the other foot is covered up with the snake's head. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. The second card features a redhead gnome, and this is going to someone I know who loves snakes. I have 3 more cards to share with you, although I did not record the process. I have another dog card. This one's holding one of the bones. I used the Paw Print Stencil and added the sentiment, "You're doggone awesome." And that sentiment is part of Jaded Blossom's Doggone Awesome stamp set, and there are coordinating dies. The teeny tiny paw print images are also included on that stamp set. And I thought they worked perfectly for a cute little embellishment. My next card features another cat image. I used the die cut pieces for the cat's face. I love this stitch detail for the whiskers. The cat is holding a fishbone. And I also used the fishbone stencil for part of the background. Added the sentiment, "Every day is Catterday." And that sentiment is included on the Meow and Forever stamp set, and there are coordinating outline dies. The last 3 cards I made, I was also using up some of the leftover pieces from the card layer die cuts. My final card design features a lizard and also a turtle. I use more of the card layer die cut pieces, and both of the critters are standing on rocks. I created my own rocks using one of the dies that's on the Octagon Treat Box Halloween add-on. And the pattern paper I use for the rocks is from Craft Consortium's Ink Drops Monochrome collection. I love the variety of patterns, and I thought this would work perfectly for some rocks. For a sentiment, I added "Happy Birthday," and this is from Jaded Blossom's Turtley Rad stamp set, and there are coordinating outline dies. For embellishments, I used some of Doodlebug Designs Shape Sprinkles. I also used some of the new MDF pieces and made a cat and a dog. And yes, I couldn't resist making a cute pink cat. The dog, I added the pink color and a couple of pink bows at the top of the ears. This dog just came back from the groomer, and she is looking her best. For the MDF pieces that have a stand, there is a die to decorate the top of that very base. You can use cardstock pattern paper, or you can leave it as is with the natural wood finish. For the cat, I use white shimmer cardstock for that base piece. And for my dog, I use a pink polka dot petite print from Doodlebug Design. Now here's another look at the 13 cards and projects I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new pet release. This is such a fun release. I know it's going to be very popular. If you love cats and dogs or just pets in general, you will love this release. I had so much fun making all of the cards and the little MDF pieces. And I'll be putting my cat and dog on a shelf in my craft room to go with some of the other MDF pieces. I have a penguin, a ghost, some of the gnomes, there's a bear and a rabbit. So many fun images. If you are interested in the new release or any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And since I use a ton of different products, if you don't see the link listed below, be sure to head over to my blog where I have everything listed. If it's not there, it's because the product has retired. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.